Hey everyone, this is Nichel Anderson. Welcome to my show, Nichel Anderson Short Stories and Beyond. We're going to focus on me returning to look at another episode. This is my director clip notes that I wanted to focus on for my season 9, and as well go back from the beginning when I started podcasting now 9 years ago. Isn't that something? All right. And we're going to take a look at episode 2 and episode 4. That is from my season 1, where I started podcasting in 2017. So we're going to do that towards the end of this particular episode. So the first one will be, when I was going through it, it's just a masterpiece, y'all. I will be playing most of that in this segment here. You can always go back and listen to the full individual one where I release it, get that experience, the beginning of, what I was talking about at that time, and then I get into the beginning of the story. So I am going to play most of it because when I was going through it and writing my notes to share and to kind of document this, I'm just like, this is something else. We're going to get into that, how wonderful. I'm so proud of this episode that we're going to, talk about more. Before I get started, my music release on August the 22nd of this year. Do check that out. As an independent artist, I appreciate you if you purchase the song, if you like the song, of course. And you can go directly to my website. That's what I'm trying to get to. I appreciate if you go directly to my independent website, which is MOLIAE, M as in Monday, you know that, OLIAE.com, and you will find where you can listen to my songs. I have a total of 12. The name of the album is When Love Was Divine. Of course, it has Egyptian themes to it because, that's my thing, okay? Love songs. I did my first rap, MOLIAE Kismet Renaissance. I do have plans to release where I'm talking about that in an episode. So look forward to that. And my good friend Lasco, I didn't get to share that, I think, in my premiere. It was a lot to cover my premiere. So anyway, an interview is coming for that. So stay tuned. And yeah, so go to MOLIAE.com and you can check my music. Hopefully you love it enough to purchase one. That goes to my, if you've been following me, my funding to get my movie started. It's got to happen. It's going to happen. So you can do that. And just to kind of give like a shout out to I really need to put my other brand. And that's MOLIAE Beauty. So MOLIAE Beauty is an Egyptian essential oils, luxury healing that I created to expand my brand, still on that journey, right? To film, right? My book, which is Mitzrayim, a memoir of a past life in ancient Egypt. And it's for males and females, kings and queens. And I focus on my formula blend from ancient Egypt. Then I'm creating essential oils for the body. And that could be for the feet, for the hair. I have hair shampoo oil. I have nail oil. I have, for the kings, I made a collection called The King and Me. So it's everything that you need for your self-care regimen. Skin care, if you have dry skin, oil skin, what have you. I have a formula, an Egyptian formula, my formula, that can help. And just definitely, we have a blog as well. You can check out previous articles. You can check out the products. The ingredients we use is natural and organic. And it's for the whole body, right? And they took care of how they look in their bodies. It was a whole 360 back in ancient times. And MOLIAE, of course, is Moments of Love in Ancient Egypt. That's what that stands for. And the beauty is, taking care of yourself, loving yourself, nurturing, just like a garden or a plant. And so with essential oils, with all that's connected to that, is what I'm presenting to the collective. So do check that out. All those proceeds do go in a sense of either, if you wanted to also donate, we are connected to the charity One Tree Planet. So their goals are always try to plant more trees on planet Earth. You can also donate in that way, and that goes directly to them. We also connected to a charity that's connected to Egypt for children that needs clothes, school books, or what have you. And that's on the website as well. All right, let's get into this. Thank you so much for tuning in. And this particular episode is episode 61 I titled it Of the Abyss, Hanee Chooses a New Path. Okay, so we're going to get into this. This is one of my interesting episodes because I really went out when I was going back through it. I noticed that I did a lot of translation. I really was into storytelling in the sense of an audio experience since I'm not on video. And I just kind of like really went there to kind of show my ability to tell the story in a way that can capture someone as if they're actually looking on a movie screen. There's another episode with Hanee. It was something about Hanee. I mean, don't get me wrong, with King Milan and the royal family, there's some lot of good moments that I love in my episodes that I did. But it's something about when I elevated from the 3 initial Orions that started in the beginning of season 1. By the time I got to Hanee, getting into my season 5, it's something about him, that character, that really elevated. He's like the star. He kind of like come in it where there's some disagreements between the 3. I guess you can call them villains in some way, but it was something about when I felt his energy to write about this person that has this high rank, that he's going to end up being the star out of the 3 that I started 3 or 4 seasons before I really got into. And this finale signify that. This finale opens up to that. I don't want to talk too much on it. I want to kind of get to the main points because I want to be able to play, and it's such a good episode that I'm gonna let it play for at least over 7 minutes. So it is what it is. Get some popcorn, y'all. But this is, to me, another indicator of another fact that my book was meant to be a movie. Part of my purpose for me to be able to tell these stories. And then before I started into music, you will be able to hear how I'm merging. That's why I called myself, when I was doing my journey of my music, a mixer, an engineer. Because when you hear my songs, that's me. I did all the mix. I just worked with the talent of the people on the sense of the technical part of getting the songs ready to be mass produced in that regard, doing the final master of what I arranged to put together. Of course, there are some songs where I went to a composer, particularly the Atlantan song. He's a genius. So he created the song, the music, the beat, and I wrote the lyrics and arranged the song. And that's pretty much on all. Or I connected with a talent to sing the lyrics or rap. All right. Beyond that, it's all me, of my creativity that God blessed me with. So this particular one here, when I'm listening to it and learn so much from musicians in doing my album, I'm able to see, oh my gosh, that's, even though I really, don't get me wrong, I love podcasting, but I really want to start back filming. I really want to do that. I just feel so happy doing that in that regard. And so listening to this episode, it's almost like I'm on set, and how I did the music overlapping at the right point where the story changes. And you'll hear that in this episode where it moves forward and it does a certain things. It gives you the emotion. That's what music does. And I'm on cue. Now this was like a few years. I'm releasing my album, which is this year, August the 22nd, right? Like now 2 months ago, almost 2 months ago. So we're going to get into that. Now there are some things I want to talk about. I like to run the numbers. Now I was with Spreaker podcasting and Podbean. I had Spreaker in the time I decided, my ancestors spoke to me, that I need to do something for me. You love writing. That's why you're here in Atlanta, to make your book, film, create another podcast. It's a lot of work, and that's what I did. So when I moved from Spreaker, and then I kept Podbean with my initial podcast, helping people surviving your journey to a success. That was being on Twitter, and I got a lot of traction on people liking my quotes. So I wanted to expand on that and to help people more. So I did a podcast, right? And so then I ended up having 2 on 2 different platforms. And eventually later I changed and put everything on Podbean for right now. But let's go ahead and get into, before I play the clip, all right? Like I said, I love this episode because, number one, it shows my ability to tell a story and do it in a cinematic way. Even though this is audio, So, but you can tell. And I will never forget on one of my social media that they was following me, a fan said, it's like I'm seeing a movie even though I'm just hearing it. And I was like, yes, that's what I felt too when I went back and played it then. And just listening to it now with more tuning, listening of the music and how I overlapped it. That was way before I met all this talent in the music industry. It's way before that. So it's like, wow, God will give you the tools, even though you might like be on a certain path for a while or whatever, and then you end up being on the right path. Learn things while you're there, and then this time, this curtain call, now it's time. So you utilize the time where you're here because you're about to be someplace else. It's like, that's not really the long game, but that's what I feel when I go back and listen to this episode. I love the title. It was something about I wanted to see him in a way that he has to make a bold choice and has to take a lot of courage. And so I say the abyss, which I'm going to kind of talk about that later, might even into my NFTs of my pyramid stories. And I'm so excited, y'all. Kind of like that out the bag of there. But the abyss is the ocean. And to me, a body of ocean is the sea. To me, with the sea is connected to spirituality. Water is power. So it's a moment there that I felt to write it and to say it and to act it out. Basically, that's what I'm doing, is to show the intensity of choices, the power of choices. So without further ado, let's get into the numbers. Let's get into my clip notes. So right now what I'm doing, let's start from the title. I love the title. Of the Abyss, Hanee chooses a new path. And it's all about Hanee. Let me kind of give a background. You don't have to go and find what's his background, what's going on with him. But he's an Orion, so you could say he's not really human in that regard. But of course, he can talk, walk, and da-da-da. But he's the top general or person over the 3 Orions that's on planet Tamat, aka Earth. And he's the one that signed out. He's very close to Echo. You would get that if you pick up any episode with him in it. He's very close with Echo. He will respect Echo, what have you. And so he's actually on planet in star constellation Orion. He's not really on Tamat. And his rank is so high, he's also on a separate secret council. And that's where Natu, which is 3. You got Echo, you got Natu. Natu was the first Orion opening in my episode 1, before the times of Princess Amenia. And then there's the other 2 where Lanko, they never liked one another. And then you got Echo, was basically why they was here on planet Tamat, Earth. Echo was the leader of those 2, Lanko and Natu. In episode 1, Natu is being introduced with Queen Haga, and she going off on him, okay? And moving forward to now, in this episode 61, there's a lot going on. Something happened to Echo. You gotta let's tune into the other episodes to find out. And there's a power change. There's some betrayal. And basically they choose against Hanee. That's a high rank, almost like you could say the president of a country or a big country or whatever, the world, whatever. I mean, he's really high, maybe not of the world, but he's very high rank. And this is the episode where he has to choose, right, to stay or not. All right, I'm not gonna give too much away, but that's basically what we're dealing with. He's going to continue on because see, the Orions happened in my book. Again, my book, Mitzrayim, a Memory of a Past Life in Ancient Egypt. These stories I'm talking about on my podcast is before the timeline of my book that I'm here in Atlanta to make a film. Okay, we're gonna get all into it, y'all. Come on. And so Hanee is a character that I never got to write to put in my book, that I had over 50 characters that I started remembering my time in ancient Egypt, right? It's a memory of my book. And so Hanee is going to continue on. I feel it now. Here it is making news that's connected to the Orions that I wrote in my book, right? Which I think it was 2 or 3. Kishi. Don't forget that name, Kishi. Okay. So that's in my book. He doesn't come up now in my podcast because it's kind of like before his time at this particular episode of 61 of my podcast. But to me, I feel Hanee is going to supersede. Echo doesn't seem to be around anymore doing this episode 61. But, and Lanko, I think he is, but he's on another assignment, but still trying to get into because they hate one another. But I feel like even as we progress in this, Hanee's going to be around for a while. He has a very particular position, I feel, his energy of the whole storyline that leads into the future, which is Princess Amelia, aka me. Deal with it. Come on. So this is a very particular episode because it changes power structure. It changes everything. But however, Hanee, his connection to what's into my book, y'all have to tune in. It's gonna be off the chain, okay? So let's get into certain parts that I want to talk about. I'm gonna let this play, right? And it's gonna start off around about 1401 timestamp. But I want to go on a couple of timestamps that stood out that I wanted to share. So let's talk about this because I loved the episode. So in 1401, that's when I started talking in translation. So let me give the backdrop with Hanee. Hanee is like a high-ranked general and also AKA, you could say a president or something like that, on this council, Yokuni, that is financing and this operation on planet Tamat that is connected to what went down in Egypt, aka Mitzrayim, where currently King Milan is the ruler. King Milan is the father of Princess Amelia, not born yet, is from the timeline of my book, and Princess Hannah. Only Hannah is born this time. And at 1401, I did a translation. So now we are in Orion. That's this whole episode. We're in the star constellation Orion. Something's going on with Hanee. There's been a betrayal. They basically moved him out of power. His wife and his daughter and son has found out about it. So at 1401 is what I'm going to play at this moment of time, and you're going to hear a translation. This is where I really was getting into it still, creating the language that I understood, and I would say it in that language, and I would then translate it in English. So it starts where we're listening to Hanee's wife, and the children agree to follow the mother to help their father. Okay, and she responds back, and so do I. So they had that conversation. So from 1401 to 1430 is where I have it noted of where they are in agreement to change their life for their father and for her husband. It's very powerful, that moment, because that sets the tone. So then I transition from that moment, right, that they're aware of what's going on with Hanee and they have to do something. What are they going to do? And they make a decision to go forward. So from that, I moved from my next important, interesting, is where I'm at 1619 in this episode. And it's the first time that I can recall that I'm actually singing. I'm telling you, I went all in, okay? And I started singing from the perspective of the character of Hanee. So he's trying to be calm and relaxed to choose. That's the title of the episode. Again, the abyss is like a big ocean, okay? I just want you to keep, have that on the side, understanding of that. So at that point, it's something about, I guess, making notes of the history of my podcast of singing, right? Which is before my music, and in that language. So that's that. And then I have another note here at 1732. Let's see. I'm saying I'm singing again, or at least reflecting. I guess he's reflecting. Randomly, it's getting intense. So he's doing like some type of singing amongst these guards that's around him. Okay. And that's at 732. And then I have another note here where I'm at, let's see. I put a note here at 1912. 1928 is the timestamp. I put here, this is where it shows the music ability of me mixing the music, mixing with another one, arranging the stems. That's going to help me in my album that I just released this year 2 months ago. Come on. I put here epic of the engineering, the mixing that I did, because the tension changed. So it's hyping up. It's getting very climatic now at 1928. And it shows the ability to transition and tell the story. So from that point, I have 2139. And I think that might be just another element because I got here 20, before that 2110. This is what it is. It's at 2110 after 1928 when it's getting intense. I'm describing the scene. As the wind blew, it catches up to the moments. Come on. Because that's the moment that we all share on our journey, when this is it. Which way you going to choose? Forward or back or not at all? It's still a choice. And so that's how I described it at 21:10 to 21:39. So take a look on that moment there. So then from there, I got a notation of 22:16 timestamp. And I'm saying, let's see, it's Hanee, he's speaking. Choices are freedom, and I have chosen mine. Now that's powerful. I got that timestamp at 22:16. Now before that, it was at 2023. Let me go to that because I really wrote that down. It was a good one. From 2023 timestamp to 2030 or 2039. He says, in life, this is Hanee. He said, in life, it is not what you are told to do. It is the path you choose to make that who you are. Come on. I'm writing it. Screenplay, movie play, whatever. Timestamp 2023 to 2039. So then we at 25:04. So this is basically towards the end of the episode. And the wife, the children catches up with Hanee. You got to listen to what you're going to, how that happened. It's very dramatic. I love it. You're going to love it. Okay. And I just felt like to end it, this particular episode, I wanted to focus on the love. I wanted to focus on family. I wanted to focus on sacrifice. I want to also focus on when you don't know what's the next step. You just got to choose. And you step out on faith based on the love and trusting in God, or trusting in, what you believe in, to know this is what it is. This is the truth. Like Jesus said, He is truth. Come on. And the wife catches up with Hanee. You'll find out how. And she just said this, to me, nailed everything what I just said about how I wanted to end, which character I want the character to speak and what to say in that moment, which is when the first, in the beginning, that I said I'm just going to focus on this part. So I just took this part of the episode, and then we're going to play the rest of it. So you will hear pretty much half of it, but where it starts, that's where it gets really, really, you know what I mean? It's very, very good. Yeah. I don't know what to say, y'all. And she says this, she says, always my love of you. To me, that's 25:04 timestamp. It's basically saying, wherever you go, I will follow because I love you. That's why I married you. No matter how bad it is, no matter this or that, I trust in our love and our faith that we will make it. And this is them, I gave a little tidbit, rolling on a small boat on the abyss. Come on. Who am I? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and play this, and let's get into it.
Way back when the star for which they all seek now want to continue to do so, but not with Hanee as the lead commander, the highest rank Orion military officer in the galaxy of Orion, now in a shape smaller than a box of D4, not fit for him or a bench to sit on. Hanee been in worse situations. This was the top of all, for he knew what he would decide soon will be his destiny once they take him to never to return back to this sector of the galaxy, to comply to a new different identity on a faraway planet, or not to comply. He pondered that, and then he said, I will decide. He thought and channeled to speak, and he spoke in a voice that only he could hear. Freedom is a choice. His thoughts then went to his wife, and he channeled her, hoping that she could feel, to hear him calling. In the moments she connected, and in her emotion, he could hear her voice of worry. He telepathically said to her, "We have to talk. There has been an interconde." Early before that moment of Hanee, we are seeing his beloved loyal wife that continued to not accept the Orion Guard's explanation to where her husband was, as he would have never missed the last half of Echo's ceremony back to those of before. She closed the door of their homota home and continued to think and wonder, where is he, as her mind and heart continued to wrestle with the truth or not the truth. She wore on dress of métier fabric, the color of those of sun and orange and blue. Her skin of tight watelle, with eyes of long ago era of their species, for this now. She was a daughter of upper intellect class of the Orions. She remembered the notes of her father and mother. When moments of uncertainty consumed thee, she went to find it. And then she saw her female assistant and male guard. She quickly dismissed them to leave. She would not need their services at this moment. They left as she instructed. And then she went and saw her young son and daughter. They felt something was not well. She nods to them to follow her. As she made it to the enclosed room, she found the book of notes of her father, when suddenly she felt a message that she knew was Hanee. She gasped as he immediately told her what is occurring in the highest realms of them that will impact what they then know of the now will not be. He tells her what his decision will going forward. With tears streaming down her face, she nods as she looked at their two children that immediately knew, and they all looked at each other. She continued to telepathically speak to Hanee as her children heard her voice. She spoke with information in their language to Hanee, and her children interpreted. She said, "An obat ni basa zoiwa tala." Translation: Hanee, in our love, we will survive. There is another day. Their connection ended. She grasped the book tightly and then spoke to her children in their language. Mukana re ifa kawata Marcos taspesofo ife irn. Translation: Do you have courage of the unknown steps to be? Her children both looked at each other and nodded, then said in their Orion language, Yasa Minta. Translation: Yes, Mother. Then she responded and nodded as the tears streamed down her face. So do I. Meanwhile, the Orion guards and some of the Inky gods in disguise of Orion went for Hanee, now dressed in civilian Orion clothing to mask his true status identity, that he was in a closed chambers, and now with the guards that proceeded to take Hanee to the final destination. that they finally made it to the Accord pathway, known for its stone and architecture of their culture and civilization, as well as the secret pathway to the large and small starships. The many security guards continued to surround Hanee as the Kingo rays shine in the darkness above them, and the rushing sound of the river below continued to engulf what was proceeding at the moment. The Accord pathway rose over 30 feet tall over the river below of the Gete Ridge Nate, heading to the starship that would take Hanee to his new domain far away from the main galaxy of his home therein and the status that he had for so long. Hanee is walking in the middle of 20 guards with a set of 30 additional guards a few feet behind them. Suddenly, Hanee, as he pondered what would be of his family and friends and what he would do in this unknown place that they are about to take him to, as those against him wishes for him to not be of what was once before his status of leadership. Then suddenly he started to hum an old Orion Wattel song. The guards slowly stopped out of curiosity and turned to look at Hanee. He kept singing that the ones in front of him that boxed him in, they slowly stepped to the side as he continued to hum the song and walked in front of them. They slowly followed, but continued to look at each other. They assumed perhaps he is accepting his fate, and there was no need for such extra security. He was willing to leave Orion, far, far away. Hanee started to sing the words of saying he remembered them as his subordinates that led them in a battle, and how sad it was to go along with such injustice of a commander general that treated them differently, for their choices have led to their own fate of no return. Some guards stopped questioning themselves, and what was this that Hanee about to say so much in the song, leaving unclarity by singing it, and boldness? They pondered amongst themselves. Meanwhile, at the next private moment returning to that of Hanee's wife and children, we see them trying to leave the long-time command of living house. But their long-time lower guard and female attendant stopped them. They didn't actually leave, they was right outside waiting. The guard of the family shook his head. I knew something was not of such. I will never let you and your children go about this alone. It has always been an honor to watch over Hanee of Akune family therein. We are family. We stay together. Hanee's wife held back her tears and nodded. She stated that they could not be seen together, as it will alert those that should not know that they are aware of what is happening to her husband. The guard and the female attendant nodded, and then the guard stated in serious facial expression that they all then must proceed to that point in the direction of the Ghetto Ridge. Everyone looked at each other and nodded, and they left as they all faded in the darkness. Meanwhile, we are back on the Accord pathway with many of the security Orion guards and those of Inky guards as well. As the wind started to curl up in a wave as it reaches to where Hanee still in front, that suddenly he stopped, walking and singing. and he turned back and looked at the guards. They stopped as well. Hanee had a sad look on his face, as they were now in the middle of the overpass of the cord pathway. His civilian clothing moved with the wind as it tried to catch up with the other moments around them. One of the guards urged Hanee to continue to walk forward, as they did not want to do anything to their once leader, but had their orders. Hanee spoke. In life, it is not what you are told to do. It is the path you choose to make that define who you are. Where you stand, on which side. The guards urged Hanee to keep walking, as they did not want to do what they were told. Some of the guards lowered their weapons, though, as the words of their great commander struck something in their hearts. They remembered Echo and knew of Netu's betrayal, but also knew not of this for Hanee to be sent far away from his home and of them. Hanee saw some of them ponder and regress backward as the others in front started to raise their weapons and slowly approached Hanee as he started to speak again. This was my home before either of you could walk. Another wind blew upwards that sent a feeling of wonder to the moment before them, as the rushing river seemed to sing the song of Hanee only a few moments ago. Some of the soldiers dropped their weapons and was emotional with tears. The sadness of what was happening engulfed them. When the front row of guards, still in position to take Hanee and was waiting for the next move, Hanee nodded and then said, as he quickly untied the known military knot chain that he taught them, and said in his ancient Orion language, Kisna nasafada no kehin munu. Translation: choices are freedom, and I have chosen mine. Hanee, without notice, gasped his hands before him and jumped on the ridge rail and jumped higher to catch the next wind he knew would be raising up to catch the others before the other wind to the northern region of their capital. Hanee then jumped over the bridge down below into the river. As the many guards yelled for him to stop, Hanee plunged into the river and vanished as the waves covered him, knowing him from his beginning of time. Moments later, a few feet away, we see Hanee's wife and their 2 children as she moved in a small boat to where she saw Hanee at the top of the accord pathway. High up, and when he jumped, she merely grasped her heart and mouth to hold back her aching pain as her daughter hugged her tightly. Hanee's son immediately, like on cue, jumped into the water and swam fast towards where he knew Hanee would be. Their daughter grabbed the masul and started to follow by managing the boat, which Hanee's son reached his father and quickly put a sikeh over his face to awaken him. Hanee coughed in the sikeh and managed to float as his son helped him to the boat. Hanee's wife and daughter grabbed them to put them in, and their son quickly took control of the boat masul and started to sped away. As the sakat was removed from his face, Hanee coughed up some of the river water. His wife cried. Hanee mouthed and spoke very lightly that he loved her, for her to choose what will be. In tears as the silence surrounded them, only the sound of the river boat making its way passing underneath the large concord pathway above. They continued to go into the darkness down the river. Hanee's wife said in the Hawaiian language, Onmis vuas wana nesawa be. Translation: always my love of you. The boat of them fades in the darkness of what was their home in Orion. Insane.
All right. I just love that episode. And I was so happy, as I mentioned before. One of my followers on my social media said, this is just amazing. This is like watching a movie. And I'm like, that's exactly how I felt when I went back and played it. Like, oh my God. Just the title of The Abyss, Hanee Chooses a New Path. And listening to it now, which is now is what, about 3 years later. It's just amazing the path that God will have you on, or if you get on the path and it's, you know what I'm saying, whatever choices that led you there, whatever, or influence and misled, you're going to be blessed if you keep going and focusing on your dream, no matter what other delays by others or what have you. And you just keep honing on your skill. I think I had an interview with one of my guests and I said, you wait so long, but if you keep at it and keep at your craft and just keep going, become a master. So when I say that, when I'm looking at, this episode here and reflecting on it, taking my time, sipping my wine, my MOLIAE wine, y'all, it just makes me proud that I kept going, even though my dream is to be on the set and to film and to create other things. And I'm still striving for that. I'm happy about what I created in this episode because it shows not only I have the skill set to direct, to write a script, okay, to arrange it and to tell a story and to leave from it. And it's like a big feast. That's giving. Storytelling to me is power because it opens up your mind into a way to tell something that is ordinary into something extraordinary. Amen. So, of the abyss, Hanee chooses a new path. That part that you just heard could have ended in seconds, but what I did, I weaved it in the different parts of him understanding this is it. I'm either going to follow the line where I used to have people to do this and do that, and this is what you got to do, and as a commander, and now the soldiers that I trained, like when they were so young or whatever, or now older, what have it, doesn't matter. They're leading me someplace that I know I don't want to be, and that's not who I am in my status. So I'm going to have to do what I was telling them. They didn't have courage. And to sing, to me, singing and music is it's a journey. It's spiritual, it's connected to the soul. And for me to connect that he did, he just sung to keep his mind, because it's a big choice to say, I'm going to rebel. I'm going to keep saying that that person, which is Natu, was the wrong one and not echo, and go against what the other others were saying and be pushed out. No. And the singing to me represent dialing up to your destiny, dialing up to the choices of what would be, because I'm not doing that. And the whole scene of him on that ridge or what have, that he made up his mind. And he's still teaching the soldiers that just started with him before of what courage is, of what when you stand up for something. That's like in his quote. I made sure that I wrote that in my notes here. 2023. In life, it is not what you are told to do, it's the path you choose to make that who you are. That's what's up. So for him to jump and say, I'd rather be who I am, the integrity of who I am, than anything else. I'd rather be and rebuke this because I know there are supporters of me to know I was right and you're all wrong. And for the wife to say, I ain't never done this before. We got to leave everything here, and we got to roll. And to do that, and the children say, I will follow to be with my father and my mother. And to have all of that, I mean, they had status. They had, like, you could say, like a big home, and they had with their attendants and all of that. And to walk away when they basically someone let them know that Hanee is in trouble. They finna do this. They finna move that. You gonna never see him again. She went to go get her man. Okay, her husband. And to see right there when he choose and he jumped, and there's the abyss. And that's what she said in the end. Always my love of you. That's what's up. I just love it. And the music in the background. Was it not on cue? Y'all gotta tell me this. Come on. It was on cue. All right. I can talk about this all day, but we got to move on to the next episode, episode 2. Now we're going to review season 1. So not only I want to look at my directed clip notes, I said I want to focus on my season 1. I didn't get a chance to really kind of like back and kind of enjoy it, but we're going to do this. So episode 2 is something, y'all, okay? Season 1, I was like going with it. It was a lot to cover in the sense of I just kept feeling it was a battle, like people are fighting this and that, like what is going on? So from episode 1, before the time of Princess Amelia, then you get to episode 2, right? The next one, and that is There Is Another Day. And I forgot to go back. Let me go back to the beginning, which the director clip notes. Let me give you the stats on that. I forgot to do that. Bear with me. We're going to do that right quick. Let's see. Hold on one second. Okay, so for the directed clip notes I just did for episode 61 of The Abyss, Hanee Chooses a New Path, season 1. I have to say, when I released that, I swear it was going viral. So many people was downloading it. So for right now, the total episodes that was downloaded from there, and of course I don't have it right here. I thought I did. Let me go back and we'll take a look of The Abyss. 1,345 downloads. I released that on May the 23rd, 2022. That was the finale as well episode, and it's episode 61, season 5. So if we go back to, by that time I think I was on Podbean. I think I switched to Podbean by 2022. So now we can move forward to reviewing season 1. Okay. So this is episode 2. And with that one, it's basically they're fighting. Okay. So Nichel was the first Orion that I introduced. He's under Hanee. I think it was a big general and da da da. And he gets in a fight with Kamra Data. Kamra Data is in my book. This is when Kamra Data is about to become the general. His father was the actual general of Egypt, where on this timeline, he's not shown his father till later. So Kamra Data kind of like grandfather into that, because again, this is some type of battle war that happened, and it was between the Orions and other tribe leaders, which then two represents the Orions coming to visit the palace to talk about, okay, we're gonna call a truce. Okay, I think we won. You think you won? What's up? Where's King Milan? Let's see how we can do. And King Milan like, no, this is episode 1 now. No, you even talk to nobody but me. I won this, and you don't need to know about my husband. Okay, I just kind of narrowed it down like that. So then we fast forward to where we get to the next episode 2, which is this. So episode 2 is basically entitled again, There Is Another Day. So then that's when we basically is with Kamra Data and Nichel, and they just fight, because you know how generals are, military, how they are. They male, they want to fight. I know you. Okay, all of that's going on, and from that point we move on to where we know and find out about King Milan. So King Milan makes his appearance in my podcast show in the second episode. We're understanding as well that he has been wounded, but he's kept in a secret place in the palace that Nichel wanted to find out. Where is King Milan? You finna talk to me, Green Hagar. That's going to episode 1. So in episode 2, we get towards the end of the episode. I get that little confrontation with the general of Egypt. No, sorry, the comrade of Egypt, Comrade Tata. He makes general by the time my book starts, that timeline. But for right now, that's what that is. So we do also have a moment where Queen Hagar is talking to her daughter, Princess Hannah. And they're doing a lot of telepathic because they're talking in secret. And she tells Hannah finally what's going on with her father because she wasn't told anything. It's like they had to keep it secret. So I guess a lot of people don't know what's going on. Is he okay with King Milan? They just know they don't see him after this big battle with a whole bunch of tribes and the Orions within it. Okay. Towards the end, I just felt like that's the moment that they bond. So she goes and see where King Milan is, being carried by Ezra. Ezra is the father of Nahar. Nahar, of course, is a very particular and important character of the book, as well as what I did in my podcast series, naming it the Future Series of Nahar and Princess Amina. Nahar is not born yet either in this timeline. So in this episode 2, towards the end, I think it starts at 10:03 timestamp, and that's when she enters and see King Milan. He's like resting. He's kind of wrapped up in this linen, and the herbalist Ezra is there. She's basically put his hand on her belly and say everything's going to be all right. And then he wakes up. It's the first time he moved. And I specifically wanted to say a time frame, and I put 12 days. That's very powerful. And she gasps and was happy that basically he's on recovery. Okay? I'm going to play a clip of that. Here's the clip. As Ezra stood nearby, gathering water brought in from the Nile in sacred holy herbs. Telepathically, she speaks to Milan. We shall get through this to keep the secret, Milan, and we will handle the Orions soon, for there is a new dawn awakening. She moves his hand on her belly. Suddenly, King Milan, after 12 Absu days, for the first time, moves and squeezes her hand. She gasps for air, still looking out towards the Nile, before at him. Their eyes meet as one tear slowly falls down her cheek, as the queen then speaks softly. It shall be so. All giving of thankfulness to Kine for this moment. My king has awoken. Ezra slowly turns around in amazement and smiles. End scene. All right, so that right there, particularly, it was a lot of good moments. I like the whole thing. I like the whole in the beginning when the two, I just felt like, talking about it was fun writing that part. We had the two, like, come on, I know you don't want to fight. I fight you. I heard you all this, but bring it. And come on, like, you do know you in Egypt, right? You do know you surrounded by all my gods that's on me. Are you really serious? Bring. I'm so tired of you. That type. And then I love the moment where Queen Hagar and Princess Hannah is having that moment, mother and daughter. I thought that was so sweet and loving there. And she's telling her, and then she's like, oh, gosh, I was worried. But I know, that grooming. I always felt like they had this relationship where she really, really, like, was with Hannah to groom to be a queen, which she does later. But nonetheless, yeah, I just love that moment. And then definitely towards the end, because that sets it up that I've been like, like a joke all these years. Is she pregnant with Princess? I mean, yeah, or she is not. I don't know. She's still pregnant right now. She still is. I haven't really addressed that. I've just been telling other parts of the story. So I'm just stringing along as long as I can, y'all. In a sense of, gotta stay tuned. But yeah, she's basically hinting that here's the baby. You're going to be fine. And he wakes up while she's looking out to the Nile, and Gad's like, oh my God, hallelujah. But anyway, that was sweet. So that's episode 2. So I loved it. Right after episode 1, that's the one to tune into and listen to that. All right, now we're going to jump. I wanted to focus on episode 4. So episode 4 is where we get more into it, okay? Episode 4 is Enemies Abound If Left Unattended. So this is where I'm focusing on the Orions. I think that's the main takeaway. There's some other stuff going on too. I won the clip, but particularly with Hagar and Princess Hannah. So they have, you know what? This is the episode they actually have a serious talk. I was referring to episode 2, but actually this is it. Episode 4. Episode 2 is mainly they're fighting, and then she go and see King Milan. So episode 4, that's where Queen Hagar tells Hannah what's going on and that he's gonna be well and da da da, and he does, and he gets back on the throne later. So that's a very sweet episode, and I love how Queen Hagar like trusts in me, basically in trusting in your mother, trusting what's going on. You know, I'm leading you the right way because the faith in God is guiding me, so I can be able to guide you into where you need to be, where we need to be. That's basically what that is. I love that part and that wisdom. So I got a time set here, 1658. I did the translation. And this basically, I jumped ahead. After I had that scene with Queen Hagar and Princess Hannah, then we go to where I call it like a cave, and that's where the Orions were. Still negotiating with the tribal leaders. And at 1658 is where Echo. So Echo, let me see. I believe that's the episode that he really comes out and introduces Echo, which is over the other 2. That's all 3 of them are under Hanee. That's not on planet Earth doing this season 1 yet. Hanee don't come out. I don't bring him out until later, right? Which is, you can see that when we did in the beginning of my show around episode 61. I think he has a few episodes prior to that I just talked about today. So this particular episode is Echo, and Echo is basically communicating back home to their planet. Everything's going well because they're thinking that they really toppled King Milan, and nobody don't want to say it in Egypt. However, they ain't done nothing in King Milan like, I'm chilling. I just woke up. I'm gonna get a new baby. Come on. That's basically what's going on. But Echo don't knows that, and that's the scene. So we're gonna take a listen at episode 4.
In me, yes. Nodding. Yes, I always do, Mother. It was best to keep your father wellness state a secret because of discovered traitors of enemies amongst Mitzrayim. I see. Queen Hagar looked to her daughter and telepathically spoke to Princess Hannah. He is alive. Your father, King Milan, survived the runes against him. He is returning back to us. Princess Hannah's eyes burst as stars in the king of skies as she gasps for air of excitement out of worry. No more. She quickly hugged her mother and spoke telepathically to her. All thanks to King Yu for this moment. When can I see him, Mother? I love him so. I miss him so. Queen Hagar spoke telepathically. Soon, soon, for the moment will be in this day. Later, in the west bank of the Sudan, as you walked further out of the cave, Echo is followed by 10 guards of the Orion First Order. Echo went in his side pouch and pulled out a metal object with mixture of colors in the middle and held it up to the skies. Moments later, as if a beam of light left the metal object to connect to the high skies above. Soon, Echo started to nod, as if telepathically he was speaking to someone. His high-ranked guard stood protectively behind him and constantly looked around. Echo broke the connection and returned back the metal object into his side pouch. He immediately turned around as his cape flapped in the wind, and as Apsu, dawn rays, flowing like a feather, transitioned over the shadowy night into the brand new day. Echo speaks in his Orion language. Ekanu eke fese no te nafa hehan solo teni. Translation: Our elders will make it known to King Milan. It's only the beginning. End scene.
All right. Again, I just love that part with Hagar and Princess Amelia. It's so sweet and loving. I can listen to that over and over. And I just enjoyed the mystery of Echo and coming out. I just saw him like very mysteriously with this kind of cape or whatever, and it's almost the Kingo hours versus nighttime hours, and he just felt like, now is the time to say this is what the plan and the mission is accomplishing, right? Which basically we know now, fast forward, he was talking to these leaders back home, and Hanee was one of the main leader of the council and the one that had orchestrated to have them come to Tamat and to basically overthrow King Milan in Egypt. So what is that they want? Later on I talk about, and I mentioned to you, it's called their star. What is their star? You got to tune in and find out. Come on. That's how you do it. Invest in MOLIAE. Go to MOLIAE.com and shop too. Come on, I got to put it out there. I got to plug. Okay? So overall, episode 4 kind of like wraps it around from episode 1 to, I know we didn't talk about 3, but we moved to 4 of the story of MOLIAE short stories, which is basically a part of my book that now is a podcast show. And the MOLIAE short stories, these first episodes of season 1, I can look at it that it was building up to the characters of what motivated going forward King Milan agreement with King Kohan to have this deal to have Princess Amelia to marry what we learned would be his stepson. And not only that, but it was other galactical things going on. King Milan rising higher as like an emperor king, at the highest level. An Akuni emperor king. He got an extra title. Come on. And just leading forward for his family and for the mission and for being at that status to lead the history of what we call Egypt forward, moving today or what have you. These first 4 episodes is talking about the initial players. They'll stay around going into episode 2, and then it really gets interesting because we don't really get to hear much about Echo anymore by the time we get to season 5, which that finale that I just went through of my director clip notes, episode 5 finale is of the Aybiss Hanee chooses a new path. So that's after the downfall of Echo. That's the reposition of power of Lanko between Net and the two rises. So, and they're all connected to, fast forward my book, Kishi. You gotta find out what that exactly is and support MOLIAE.com. Come on! /shop. Help a sister. This is it. You listen to this, you got to help me to get my funding from my movie. This is it. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in into my director clip notes and my review of my first season podcasting of my MOLIAE short stories, of my book, of my dream to turn into a movie. You know the rest. And I appreciate you. Guess what? Talk to y'all in the next one.
My life mama.